good.
I practiced. What's going on, Tom?
Practice went okay. I thought we got through everything we wanted to go through. I didn't like our sense of purpose a little bit. I think we got to, our mission is to get better every day, and today we kind of stayed the same. So, you know, in coaching, you want to have good days every day, but you really want to build to the weekend. And realistically, you're not going to be your best every practice, but they were good, and what they did, I just didn't think the sense of urgency was there. So we'll thank God we got tomorrow. We'll have a good practice tomorrow and be ready to play. You guys will be impressed by the team we're playing. They're good.
Is that a time of year thing around this time, like to keep them focused without classes and trying to dial in?
As dumb as it sounds, everybody wants them to be out of school, and people say, now you got time to do this and do that. But really, it changes their routine. And they're creatures of habit, too. And when it changes your routine, that's another, obstacle that we have to deal with. And so, we're trying to make it as normal as we can and yet not have 2-a-days and all that right now. But there's a lot of free time, and I think that's part of it. So tomorrow we're going to practice a little earlier and see if we can get the sense of urgency out of it.
Depth has been a big thing for you guys. They also, I think they got 5 guys averaging double figures, a few more not far beyond
2
that.
up the bench, I think, are leading scorers.
So I guess what do you see in them and what the challenge, the top challenge?
Well, you're going to see they go 7 foot 6'11" across the front, and they're both really good players. I mean, the 6'11" kid is he's talented. He can shoot threes. He can handle the ball. It'll be our toughest matchup at the 4 that we've had this year, I think. And they got, their guards are good. They got 6 guys that shoot over 35% from the 3. They've lost a couple games. I didn't think they should have. But, when you don't know as much about a team because we're not right next door, it's concerning. But they have depth, they have size, they can play big or small, and they've got a number of shooters. So it'll be whatever work cut out for us Saturday.
The foreman you mentioned, is he more of a shooter or post-up guy or both? Stretch?
More of a shooter and a ball handler. I mean, he can handle it and shoot it. I mean, he's, I don't want to give too much credit, but like a poor man's Kevin Durant. He can do a lot of things, skinny but athletic. I like him. I like him a lot.
6'11"?
Yeah, solid
Jackson's,
6'11".
it seems like he's defensively become
He's getting better, but him and Book are going to have their work cut out here. The kid plays like Book, only he's probably better with the ball and better first step right now,
I'm sorry, speaking of Booker, about a year ago, you kind of had to go on the defense for him because people were talking about expectations. What we're seeing now, I'm going to call him breakout Book, what we're seeing him is this is what you were kind of getting at by allowing the process to work?
Yeah, and allowing the process to work is a really important thing, I mean, guys get ranked certain ways by people. They get perceived in certain ways, including us, including me.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you work out with a guy in the summer, you kind of get an idea of where they are and what they need to go, and then you play possum. What do you say? You want to encourage them, but you got to be real with them. You don't want to hurt them in the media or into the fan base, but you got to be real. And that's a delicate thing. And the way I look at it is Book's going to be a very good player, as I said. He's had 4 really good games in a row doing the things that we talked about he wasn't doing, guarding a little better. He's getting offensive rebounds. I think he had 4 the last game, running harder, so he's getting in position. As his defense keeps growing a little bit, even blocked a couple shots. It's fun to see. It's sad that you just hit the nail on the head. Some people are going to say, well, where's he been? And other people are going to say, well, he should be starting and starring right now. Look what he can do. And there's always those things to deal with. I like the fact that I think he's in a good place. He's getting better. He's practicing better. He's seeing it better. He's talking about it more.
Is that called being a sophomore?
Yeah, it's what was absolutely positively normal for 100 years until these last few years. It's changed, but I love Book. I love the fact that he's hung in there. And, you know, like they say, if you haven't gone through something, you know, success never means the same. If you haven't gone through something, you sometimes don't cherish your own success the same. I think he realizes because, I mean, of course I get ridiculed, but I get paid a lot of money to get ridiculed. But I'm sure he got ridiculed too. I'd hate to look at his Twitter feed or whatever the hell, Facebook or whatever the hell all those things are called. I wouldn't want to look at his either. But he tells me he's off it, so that's good. But it is a case of the process. You know, we talked about the process a lot. He's growing. He wasn't quite ready for everything at the beginning, but you go around the country right now and look at 95% of the guys are in the same boat, but yet he's withstood it. He didn't run and hide. He didn't transfer because he wasn't happy. He sat here, worked. He gained 20-some pounds. He got stronger. Still struggled some. Now we're pushing him, and you know, I got texts from books saying, "Don't baby me, keep pushing me." You know, I mean, it's really been. Those guys end up your favorite guys once they have success and they leave because you realize what they've been through, and yet can't give him too much credit yet because we're a third of the way through the season. But I like the path he's on. I like the progress he's made, and I like the approach he's taking. I will always want more sense of urgency, a little more body language, excitement. He clapped 3 times, and I got it on film. So don't think and when he made one of those threes, and him and I laughed about it. But it's progress, you know, and so it's good.
You got some other things on film that he had a big day stat-wise, but there were some corrections that he saw that I'm sure you went over with him on film. How did that go? It's good that he plays well, but also had some things to tighten up.
Yeah, he does. You know, defensively has some things to tighten up. Sometimes getting up on ball screens. But, you know, one thing I did like about this team, we went over some of them yesterday, some of them today. And they're responsible for their mistakes now. You know, they realize that we're all in this together. And early on it was don't admit any mistakes because that's the way everybody's raised nowadays. You know, you're not allowed to say I screwed up. And I think this team realizes, no, it doesn't matter. It's, do I get better? Do I learn? Do I do this? And that's where Buck's really been kind of interesting because it's not his personality, but he's been interesting. But a lot of other guys are starting to do it too. Jeremy's doing a better job of that. You know, he at first always wanted to look for a reason, and now he's just taking it and moving on, you know, and that's awesome.
One about this matchup with Cooper in particular, it seems like this is probably a little better matchup than the last game for him with the size, I guess.
Yeah.
With his
and these guys,
he's going to be an important piece for you guys.
Oh yeah, very important. You know, I mean, Shimon and Jax are playing really good. Now Coop has been the one struggling, and he was, I think, supposed to be our most solid guy there. But we sat down and talked to him. I think the mask really bothered him. You know, I mean, either consciously or subconsciously or visually. And we're going to try to play without the mask now. And but this is a good matchup for him because those guys can put on the floor. Coop's our best guy, being able to move his feet out there and do that.
Tom, I think it was about 10 games ago you talked about how Jaden Akins maybe had the senior year weighing on him mentally. And I'm curious, now 11 games into the season, what have you seen from him and maybe the way he mentally is approaching this season?
He approaches it mentally well every day. I mean, I don't have a guy that works harder than Jaden. You know, he's down there now. You know, I mean, very few days does he miss any workouts. He's been phenomenal in that. I did not think he played as well the last game. You know, I mean, it's some of it he shot okay and this and that. It just maybe defensively, or trying to get him to run those lanes and rebound a little better. Trying to make Jaden what I know he can be, and I think he has been at times this year, a complete player. Offensively, defensively, shooting the ball, passing the ball, guarding the ball. And I think he'll respond really well. He wasn't bad, he just wasn't as good as I think he needs to be. And yet he's been pretty damn good here. after a rough start shooting the ball. He's been pretty good.
Would you like to use these next 2 games to get Frankie sort of on an incline going into Big Ten play at all? And how
No,
can you
I'd
do
like
that?
to just win these next 2 games. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's hard playing 10 guys. I can't worry about. I'd like to get Frankie and Trey shooting it well in practice, and then they get themselves going. It's. I think I know what you're saying, and I'm not being. I'm not jumping down your throat on it, but these next 2 games, I don't know if anybody watched Alabama play North Dakota last night, and they should have got beat. These games it's just a different world right now, and Christmas is always, they're going to come up here excited, big game for them. What are we going to be? Are we going to be thinking about Santa Claus, Christmas, and making sure your girlfriend's got a good gift? Or are we going to come here, play basketball, and then really get to go and celebrate Christmas? That's what I'm looking forward to. But, there's no question, if we can get Frankie and Trey shooting it, like I know both of them can, that would really help us. But if we can do that in these 2 games, that would be good. That means it'll help us win these 2
You still
games.
see Frankie sort of figuring out the transition of just new program, new style? Is that still part of where he's at?
Yeah, I think shooting is about confidence, and he's shooting it better, but he's still got a ways to go, and yet he's trying to do other things now. He's trying to be a little better defense. He's trying to rebound a little better, and that'll keep him on the floor. And when he does, he'll get better.
Off the guy and knocked it out of bounds too. That was
Yeah.
crafty play.
Yeah, he made some. He's starting to play harder and harder. I'm pleased with where everybody's going. I wish a couple guys would play a little bit better now, and that's how your team gets better.
Are you starting to see? You kind of hinted at it the other day, but are you starting to see this team maybe take on Jeremy's identity a little bit?
Jeremy's got some toughness, and he's got a little energy, and I think I'm waiting for him. I was with Mateen in the locker room. I'm waiting for him to take on Mateen's identity a little bit, and then the team takes on both of them. But yes, there's definitely Jeremy is improving. I think Jace has practiced better. After the concussion, then he got real sick, cold, and then we had the 10 days off. He's the other guy that is playing so well, and I think we got to get him back to normal. And I think just not being sick will help that.
When's the last time you had a point guard at halftime that wanted to cool up?
It's been a while. That was good, and that was him. Give me him. I want him. I want Cole. And you saw what he can do. I mean, I still say that Jeremy is trying to find himself yet. I mean, you take that long off, 8-9 months, and he's still trying to find himself. So I understand that. I'm cool with it because I think he's doing enough good things. But like today, I finally see him go up and dunk one. I mean, there's some things that either consciously or subconsciously it's taken a while.
And at the end of the first half, even Jeremy got into him a little bit, right? Even before halftime.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was right around this time last year when you went up to him. I don't know, how do you put it? Do you say, stay here, don't do anything? Or is it's a hard thing at Christmas.
Yeah, of course it is. No, I'm not saying stay here. I'm telling all my guys, everybody worries about. It's kind of funny back in the day, Judd used to have a big lecture with the team about shoplifting. Everybody would. Now they got enough money to buy the shop, number one. And number two, there's just so many other issues, you don't even think of things like that. I mean, just think what we're talking about 25 years later. But I'm not worried about Jeremy. I mean, that was a bad situation. It was a mistake. It wasn't his fault. And but I worry about all our kids when they go home. But I worry about them when they're here. I mean, it's you watch the news and the world's screwed up. So hopefully we'll all stay safe and enjoy Christmas and come back and be ready to go for a hell of a second half.
Did you see that coming from his brother?
His brother, I watched part of that game last night, played really good. I mean, he's a different player than Jeremy. And he didn't, missed 9 months, but give him a lot of credit. He played really well last night, and
Didn't really well.
he has played well. Yeah, he has played well. So that's great for him. Great.
Zapawa, with the block shots and so forth, is he just kind of getting comfortable?
Yeah, he's starting to get. I think he's the guy that's starting to get more and more comfortable, and I think we need to get him the ball a little bit more. But there's only so many balls. I'd say if there's two major negatives, we're a little disappointed in our gap and off the ball defense, and we're a little disappointed in our turnovers. It's not that they're an enormous number, but they're a foolish number. You know, we had 8 or 9 the first half the other night, and so that's been a point of concern, interest, and anger.
So off-ball defense, one pass away, whether it be the 4 or the 3.
Sometimes it's almost 2 passes away, you know, that we're falling asleep on a weak side, and that we got to do a better job of that, and hopefully we will.
You talked about Jeremy Duncan, and I'm curious, what is the one thing that would be like a finish line for him, for you to say, okay, he's 100% back? You know,
Yeah,
everything's-
like you guys haven't seen him much, but I mean, he's got a different kind of jet speed. He's not Tum Tum, you know, who has just jet speed, but he has power jet speed, you know, like a good running back. I mean, and once in a while you'll see it on the break, and I've seen it a couple times, and then it kind of disappears, and I don't know why, but I still haven't seen that on a consistent basis. Also, I see him as a dog defender, you know, getting after you. I saw that some of the second half of the last game. If we can put those two together, I'll call you and say he's back. All right, guys.
Wait for the call. Thank you.
All right, thanks.